Hello! Today I'm going to show you how to backup MySQL databases on Linux CLI or command line interface using Ahsay OBM. Ahsay offers comprehensive protection for all your MySQL database servers, with the flexibility to selectively backup specific databases to customize backups to suit customer needs. Our backup solution supports hot database backups by leveraging the MySQL dump utility to ensure data consistency. Additionally, we employ cutting-edge technology to further optimize MySQL database backups, eliminating the need to spool a copy of the databases to the disk by directly streaming backup data to the destination storage to deliver faster and more efficient backups, all while maintaining a simplified setup. Ahsay provides versatile recovery options through the use of logical backups, allowing backup data to be used for recovery across different MySQL versions and operating systems, achieving greater flexibility and adaptability in database management strategies. Using Ahsay OBM to backup your MySQL server database allows you to restore the database to the original storage location and restore to an alternate storage location on the same server. Ahsay takes the stress out of MySQL server database recovery with our automated recovery process, which will restore your database files from the designated destination storage, such as Ahsay Drive, applying them to the database and bringing them online. For advanced users, an option exists for manual database recovery or recovery to a replacement server, providing complete control over the recovery process through the Restore as Raw Files feature. The video will be in two parts. For the first part, I will show you how to create and configure a backup set via Linux CLI. For the second part, I'm going to show you how to add Ahsay Drive as your destination storage via the web console and how to run a backup job via Linux CLI. Let's go to my screen and we'll start to create a backup. Connect to a Linux machine using an SSH client like PuTTY. Log into the root account. Change directory to the bin folder of OBM by entering the following command. Enter the following sh script to launch Ahsay OBM. Choose option 1 and enter your login credentials. Select option 5 to generate a new backup set. Then select option 2 for MySQL database. Ahsay OBM will create an XML file and save it in the .obm folder. You can configure the backup set settings by using a text editor. You can either quit the run configurator.sh script or open a new SSH session to edit the XML file. For our example, I will choose option A to quit and go to the path indicated to edit the XML file. Configure the XML file by using a text editor. I'm going to use VI to configure the backup set settings. Enter the following to open the text editor. After entering the text editor, we are going to configure the following settings. Backup set name, temporary directory for storing backup files, remove temporary files after backup, compression type, MySQL database setting, MySQL login name, MySQL password, MySQL host, MySQL port, path to MySQL dump, selected source, deselected source, enable scheduled backup on this computer. For our example, we will use a daily backup. So we are going to remove the weekly, monthly, and custom settings section. Under the daily settings, we will configure the name of the schedule, start hour, start minute, and interval. Destination settings, name of your destination, directory to store your backup files, enable the duplication, and the duplication scope. In order to configure the settings of the backup set XML file, we need to input the required settings in the value data field inside the text editor. For the backup set name, I'm going to input MySQL database backup CLI as our backup set name. The temp folder is the default location where Ahsay OBM temporarily stores backup set index files and temporary restore files. The best practice is to set the temporary directory to another local drive for optimal backup and restore performance. It should not be located on the same partition as the operating system because if that drive fills up, it could cause the backup machine to crash, preventing your backup from running or completing. It shouldn't also be set to a network drive as it could affect both backup and restore performance. For the temporary directory for storing backup files, I'm going to input the path /mnt/data/temp, which is on another drive, to store the temporary files in. For the remove temporary files after backup, the default value is Y for yes. We'll leave it on the default setting for our example, which removes temporary files after a backup job has finished. Next is compression type. For the compression type, I'm going to select Snappy Default Compression, which is fast with optimization for local. This is the optimal setting for our backup set type. You can change the compression type at any time after the backup set has been created. Next is MySQL database settings. The default login ID used is root. Input root in the login ID value data field and its corresponding password in the password value data field. It is recommended to use localhost as the MySQL host, as Ahsay OBM is directly installed on the MySQL database server. Input localhost in the value data field. The default port is 3306. If your MySQL instance is set up with a different port, please input it in the value data field. For the path to MySQL dump, input the location to where the MySQL dump utility is installed. For our example, I will input /usr/bin/MySQL dump in the value data field. Next is selected source. These are the databases that you would like to back up. If you have more than one sources to back up, copy the whole key script, then enter the path in the value data field. For our example, I will input MySQL/mkt1, MySQL/mkt2, MySQL/mkt3, MySQL/users, MySQL/MySQL, and MySQL/sys. Next is the selected source. Since we individually selected the databases to back up, this section is no longer required. You can leave the value data field blank and move on to the next setting. Next is schedule settings. Input Y in the value data field to enable automatic backup schedules. Create a daily backup schedule to optimize the efficiency of your MySQL database server backup. Typically, this entails performing a database backup every day outside working hours, which also minimizes any impact on end users. When setting up a backup schedule, consider the hardware performance of the machine, the network bandwidth, and the retention policy settings. In order to create a daily backup set at 8 p.m., we need to configure the daily settings only. You can set a scheduled backup for weekly, monthly, and a custom setting, but we don't need to configure them for our example. So, I have already removed those sections in the XML file. Enter the name of the schedule in the value data field. I will input daily backup schedule. Enter 20 for the start hour and 0 for the start minute. In order to set the schedule to 2000 hours or 8 p.m. Set the interval to -1 in the value data field as we will be using a non-periodic backup. For the destination setting of our backup set, this will be separated into two parts. First, I will discuss how to add a local folder as the destination of our backup, and then later on, I will discuss how to add Ahsay drive as our storage destination. The default setting is set to local destination settings, which means that the backup will be saved locally on the machine. Enter the name of your destination. I will input local backup as the name of my destination. Enter the path to where the backup will be saved. I will input the path /mnt/data/local-backup, as this is the folder that I created to store the backup files. For the deduplication settings, we have a choice to enable it or disable it. Enabling the duplication will remove duplicate copies of the data that helps save up to 60% of the storage space for database backups. For the scope of the deduplication, we have a choice of whether it would cover the same file within the same backup set or all files within the same backup set. If you select same file within the same backup set, the deduplication applies to the current backup job and it applies to the duplicated contents within a file. If you select all files within the same backup set, the deduplication applies across different files in the same backup set. For our example, we will enable the duplication and choose all files within the same backup set. Enter Y and B in their respective data fields. When you're done editing the XML file, press Escape, then type :WQ to save the changes made. Go back to the bin folder by typing cd/usr/local/obm/bin, then enter the sh script run configurator.sh to launch Ahsay OBM again. Log in again using your credentials. Choose option 4 to import the backup set settings file that we edited earlier. It will verify the data provided, and if there are no errors, it will prompt you if you'd like to encrypt your backup. Select Y to enable encryption. Ahsay OBM will then give you 3 options for encryption. You can choose between default, user password, and custom. For our example, we will choose option 1 for default, and it will use Ahsay's AES 256-bit data encryption to generate a 44 alphanumeric character encryption key to encrypt your backup set. Remember, once you have selected the encryption settings, it cannot be changed afterwards. If you need to change the encryption settings, you will need to create a new backup set and back up all your data again. Choose option 1 to view the list of backup sets available. Then, choose option 3 to select the backup set that we just created. After choosing the backup set, it will display all the settings that we entered in the XML file. Also, it will show you the encryption key for the backup set. It is important to keep a copy of the encryption key. If you forget or lose your encryption key, you will lose the ability to access and restore your backup data. Once you have secured the encryption key, choose option 8 to quit Ahsay OBM and open your web browser in order to add Ahsay drive to our destination storage. On your web browser, log into your backup server and click the user tile. Select the backup set tab, then click the backup set that we just created. Select the destination tab, set the backup mode to concurrent, and the maximum concurrent backup destinations to the preferred value. I will set it to unlimited for this example. If you intend to back up your MySQL databases to both the Ahsay drive and a local drive, Ahsay OBM will perform the backups at the same time when set to concurrent. Next, click on the plus icon to add a new destination storage. Select Ahsay drive, then click on the plus icon on the lower right to save the settings. Ahsay drive has now been added to the backup destination storage. Click on the save icon on the lower right to save the changes. Then, go back to PuTTY and log into Ahsay OBM again. View the list of backup sets and select the backup set that we just created. Ahsay drive should now be added to the destination name. Verify if the scheduled backup settings are correct. Exit Ahsay OBM. Then enter the command cat/root/log/scheduler/debug.log to view if the scheduled backup is running with the correct settings. As you can see here, the next backup will run in 4 hours and 34 minutes, which is correct because that is set to 8 p.m. tonight. To run a backup job, go back to the bin folder of OBM and run the following sh script along with the name of your backup set. Your databases have now been successfully backed up by Ahsay OBM. And that's how you back up MySQL databases on Linux CLI using Ahsay OBM. With Ahsay, your data is fully protected. Armed with the latest technology like immutable backups, where your backup data will never be encrypted, deleted, or modified for total protection against hackers and ransomware. Strong AES 256-bit data encryption ensures your data is encrypted during transit and when your data is stored, to prevent anyone from reading your data without your permission. Two-factor authentication, to prevent anyone from accessing your data without your permission. Multi-destination backups, to store your backup data in more than one storage destination and across many geographical regions, for maximum protection against natural disasters, fire, or conflicts. And data deduplication, a feature that removes duplicate copies of data that helps you save up to 90% of your storage space, with significant savings on your data storage costs as well as much faster backups. That's why you should choose Ahsay. Your data is safe with us.